So, what does it really mean to live a life of purpose? Today, we're going to dive into that very question, looking at it through the lens of music, faith, and an amazing spiritual movement that was inspired by the musician Eugênio Jorge. And it all kicks off with one simple but really powerful idea.
This right here, this is the key to everything we're about to unpack. Praise has no borders. It's a statement that really challenges us to find a common song, a common ground, no matter how different we are. And there's a fascinating real-world story that shows exactly how this plays out.
All right, so our story begins in Brazil with a spiritual community called Canção Nova, which, by the way, literally means new song. But here's the thing, finding that new song, it was not simple. It was a journey that started with a pretty surprising challenge.
I want you to just picture this for a second. You have this community, and they're overflowing with this desire to express their faith with music, but their songbooks are practically empty. There was this spiritual hunger, this big silence just waiting to be filled. So what did they do? They looked beyond their own tradition to their evangelical brothers and sisters, and they started singing their worship songs. And you can see their whole journey unfold right here. They started out in the 80s just borrowing and translating songs, which is a beautiful act of unity, right? But then, by the mid-80s, something new started happening. Inspiration just hit, and it led to this wave of original songs. And before you know it, by the 90s, a completely new, totally authentic sound was born. They had finally found their very own new song. This whole experience taught them a huge lesson, building on that foundational idea of unity. See, it wasn't about replacing one sound with another, it was always about adding more voices to the choir. And there's a fantastic analogy for this. Just think about the apostles Peter and Paul. You had Peter, he was the rock, the pillar for the people who were already inside the faith. But then you have Paul. He was the missionary, the one going out to reach everyone on the outside. Two totally different styles, completely different audiences, but one single unified mission. And this really gets to the heart of it all. One person's song might not connect with you, but somebody else's will. Diversity isn't a threat, it's actually a strategy. It just expands the reach and makes sure the message of hope can find a home in every kind of heart. This is about collaboration, not competition. So, if the goal is to reach people, what's the most powerful song we can possibly offer? Well, the answer might surprise you, because it goes so far beyond just melodies and chords. To really get what this means, let's look at the life of Saint Cecilia. Now, she's the patron saint of music, so you'd probably assume she was famous for her incredible voice or for being a master musician. But her true music, her most powerful song, was something else entirely. Her life was a symphony of conviction. I mean, she's forced into a marriage, and her faith is so strong it ends up converting her husband. When they tried to execute her, she miraculously survived. So then, even after 3 blows from an executioner's sword, which was the legal limit, she lingered for 3 more days. She couldn't speak, but she used her hands to sing her final testimony, a belief in the one triune God. Just incredible. This brings us to a much, much deeper definition of worship. It's not a performance, it's a way of being. Saint Cecilia's greatest song wasn't sung with her lips. It was sung with her entire life, a life of just unwavering faithfulness, even when she was facing death. And that's really the core of it. As the saying goes, God doesn't seek worship, God seeks worshipers. It's not about a perfect performance or making beautiful art just for the sake of it. It's about a heart that's aligned with Him. Because when you find a true worshiper, authentic worship, a true song, is just going to flow naturally from their life. So if our life itself is our song, what about the specific gifts and abilities we've been given? What's our responsibility there? Well, this brings us to the famous parable of the talents. So the setup is simple. A master gives 3 servants different amounts of money, or talents, before he heads off on a long trip. And what's really important to see here is that this isn't a story about everyone getting the same gifts. No, it's a story about what we do with whatever it is we've been given. And the outcome here? Well, it tells the whole story. The first 2 servants, they put their talents to work, and they doubled what they were given. They were praised as good and faithful. But the 3rd servant, the one who received the least, he did something very, very different. You see, his failure wasn't making a bad investment. His failure was making no investment at all. He just dug a hole and buried his talent because he was afraid. And that's the lesson. The biggest risk isn't failing. It's the refusal to even try.
It's all that potential that gets lost because of inaction.
I absolutely love the metaphors they use to drive this home. What good is salt if it just stays in the bag? What good is a reservoir of clean water if it's locked away from people who are thirsty? The call is so clear. Our gifts aren't meant just for us. They're meant to be poured out in generous service to others. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. If we use our talents, and if our lives truly become a song of worship, who's the audience? Who are we actually singing for?
This is a really direct and challenging question for every single one of us. In our work, in our art, in our service to other people, what is our ultimate motivation? Is it for the applause? Is it for recognition? Or is it for something higher? This is such a humbling perspective. The idea is that if people walk away from our work and they're only talking about how great we are, then we've probably missed the entire point. We may have failed in our most important mission.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. Our lives, our talents, our songs, they are not meant to be monuments to ourselves. They're meant to be signposts, pointing people toward something bigger, toward a source of hope and truth. The goal is to make the message visible, not the messenger. And so we end with this question, and it goes beyond career or religion. It asks about the very essence of our existence. When all is said and done, what melody will your time here have created? Take a moment to listen. What song is your life singing right now?